huh?
Yep. Bailiff.
Here she comes. Kind of lonely up here. Is it kind of lonely up here today?
This is the most fun part, getting
Be on this side.
Let's call this meeting of the Board of Public Works to order, Tuesday, March 12th, 2019, 7:30 a.m. Roll call, please.
John Vietmeyer.
Here.
Brad Mitchell.
Here.
Mike Ratatek. Steve Richardson. Jeff Patkey. Steve Sullentrap.
Here.
Jeff Moheski.
I'm here too.
Steve. All the Steves.
Sorry.
Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm sorry, Steve.
That's all right.
I forgot my attendance thing. I had to write everything down.
Got to get all your Steves in a row. Okay, minutes have been distributed. If you had a chance to read them, any comments, discussion?
None.
Motion to approve. And second, I guess, no, we just have to,
You don't have to
we
wait.
just have to review them, so we're not voting on anything.
We have no.
Who wants to go first, John or Aaron?
We'll just give you a quick update real quick on operations. On the wastewater side, the vac truck is still getting prepped in Illinois, so it'll be here as soon as we can get it. Council did allow us to proceed with purchasing that demo truck, so the check was cut last Thursday, and it's on its way. Wastewater side, there was two new pumps put out at the landfill. I was talking to Kevin about every 5 years, those impellers with the leachate and everything just essentially rust out and decay to a point where we have to, put new ones back in. So Carrie was working with Kevin on that, where they got installed last week. So the landfill's up and running. So it's essentially a brand new landfill, and we're going to operate it as such. Last thing I know, Kevin's working on the getting that stormwater pump down on at the Locust Street lift station. So hopefully in the next 3 months we'll have that up and running, which should help us on these large rain events. I know Saturday we had some manholes popping on Front Street as well. So it's just one of those things we monitor. We try to fix when it happens, and hopefully this will solve this problem for the foreseeable future.
What's going on at Teeman and Front Street?
Teeman and Front Street.
The pump house down there?
What's going on with
A
it?
bunch of pipe laying around there, caution tape around it?
I'm not familiar with that one.
We had both pumps failed in there.
No, there we go.
Last week, I guess, had a flood in the dry well,
Oh, yeah.
so it shorted out both pumps. So they're both out for repair, so we got a bypass pump in place now in place of the two operating pumps.
Okay.
They're looking at next week getting those back in.
I apologize. I thought that was the West Main one. So further down by Can-Am Steel. So, but that's it. Other than that, everything's going as where it should.
The construction started on when there a well house that a car ran through.
Yeah, they actually, I think they're pouring those foundation walls today. That's correct? Yes. Footings are in, foundation walls. Plans have been developed. So once the foundation walls get in, the concrete's got to cure out a little bit. So I think the walls are already actually ready to go. They just need to be set. So they kind of pre-fed those in the shop. We're going to set the walls. Trusses are already delivered. So once that trusses get set, get it sheeted, and we're moving. So the insurance we did work with our insurance company on getting those dollars, or getting those insurance monies back. We did receive that check, so the dollars are in hand, and then they're actually fighting with their insurance company on trying to get some of that money recouped. So everything's moving right along.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, John.
Sounds good.
Darren Lamb, step to the podium, please.
Thought I was in trouble in school. Two items for you. We went through a series of code revisions prior to the end of 2018 throughout those entire books. Mary Trentman kind of led that up with all department heads to go ahead and put that in there. There was a couple of items that we wanted to take a look at in the chapters with regards to the public works. And so we kind of put those on hold until Mark got a chance to where we could go ahead and take another look at those and have Mark Piontek kind of review those. So on Monday's agenda for the council, there will be 2 ordinances. The first one gets back to the time of, well, actually this dates back to before John came on board and worked for the city. The city at one point knew that they were probably going to have to go ahead and have a public works director. And so when we went through the process of hiring for a city engineer, it was raised during those interviews that we wanted to go ahead, that we would change, this position would eventually change into a public works director. Everybody understood that. We hired John, obviously, and John understood that going in when we were going through the interview stage. When we finished that up, there was still some concern with regards to what do you call that. We had never had a public works director by ordinance, and Mark said that there were some things that would have to be taken a look at within the ordinance that was on the books in order for us to go ahead and make that change. So when John, I guess you were promoted, I guess, to Public Services Director, and that was like almost about 2 years ago, April. Well, it was between Jim had left. I hadn't been on board as city administrator yet. It was in that time span. So they created this Public Services Director, which I always felt was kind of a confusing title to begin with, because public services can mean a lot of anything. I mean, is he chasing dogs? Is he, is he whatever? I mean, it's a lot of different things you could call public services. So what we wanted to do was call it Public Works, but I was told that they couldn't do that at the time without making some changes to the ordinance. So we finally, it got put on a back burner because honestly, things have been functioning this way. It was not a matter of life or death. We had a lot of other things that we needed to go ahead and take care of. But when Mary wanted to go ahead and make these changes to the code, we wanted then to go ahead and have this change made and taking a look at it. So there's 2 ordinances, as I said, that are going to be in front of the council on Monday night. The first one is going to changes the designation of Director of Public Services. It renames that position to the Public Works Director and establishes a supervisory change. So basically what it does is it basically sets it up to how we've been operating. I mean, basically, John is our Public Works Director at this time, but then he will supervise the following positions: and Streets and Sanitation Superintendent, Water and Wastewater Superintendent, Building Official, Airport Manager, and City Engineer and Assistant City Engineer. So all of those report through that Public Works Director, and that's the chain of command. And as I said, that's how we've been operating. It just hasn't been on paper. The second ordinance that they're going to have on there, Mark took a look at this. He did have, first he had a different ordinance for us about a week or so ago, and then he late last week, he said he wanted to make some changes. He started looking at it. He said this would enact a new chapter that matches state law. I'm reading from his email here. There were some provisions in the existing chapter that gave the Board of Public Works supervisory authority over certain employees, which authority is not found in state law. Other changes were more cosmetic, just so our language matched the state statutes. It still provides for a water and wastewater superintendent, which is Kevin, so that does not change. That still comes back, before this board so that you guys can still go ahead and appoint a superintendent, just like it has been before. But Mark went through and made some changes based on, I guess, state law, because we haven't really looked at this section of the code for quite some time. That's the whole reason why Mary did all the changes that she proposed to do before the end of December. So I wanted to bring those to your attention so you didn't read about that in the paper and find out, oh, what's going on? We didn't hear anything about that. So I've been in a discussion with John about this for, I think I mentioned it to him twice, but I wanted to make sure the board knew. So unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Just the point of the Board of Public Works and the relationship of the Board of Public Works to water and wastewater.
I don't think anything changes.
nothing changes, but when you look at the title of the board, the Director of the Board of Public Works and the chain of command, I don't think anything changes, but to me, it doesn't seem like there's any wording that says the Board of Public Works, works and monitors the operations of water and wastewater. Because the Director of Public Works has got the whole enchilada.
Right. That's right. But I don't, there's not really a change in that functionality. I mean, I don't think there's anything there. I will do this. I will forward you both of these ordinances, and Bev can go ahead and get those out to you and email those to you. We discussed this with Kevin as well. We brought it up to him 2 or 3 weeks back. We had another meeting yesterday where we discussed it. I think he understands because he's, like I said, we've been operating under this the entire time anyway, so. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other business from the board or our guests? We will meet again in a month. We'll get it on everybody's calendars.
Sure.
You didn't
Motion.
beat the record.
Huh?
You didn't beat the
I
record.
know. Yeah, I know.
Darren's
Darren
fault.
was a little long. This morning. Motion to adjourn.
I guess, can I even make the motion to? I will make it.
Make it, let's adjourn.
Motion to
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. If you're ready to leave.
Thank you.
Good job, John.
We try hard. Tell you, it's rough.
Brett, thanks for coming in.
Hey, nice to see you. I knew you'd be here, so I came to see you today.